So today I wanted to talk about the extent of religious conditioning on our consciousness, on the human mind field. And I've done a lot of deep alchemical work with myself and with many people. And what I have found very interestingly is that even if you were not raised in a religious household, ideas that come from religion or any outer authority can really trickle their way into your life, maybe in a not so obvious way, which I'm going to point out some of those ways that it might show up. So first I'm going to begin by saying you are completely free and unlimited. You are free will. The idea that you are not free or that you have no free will is a religious thought. It is a thought coming from some outer authority. And I want to ask you, if you believe that you have no free will, I want to ask you two things. Did you read that in a book, or did that come from within? And if it came from within, how do you feel when you think that thought? Are you feeling helpless? Are you feeling limited? Are you feeling like you have no power? Do you define surrender as giving in to the flow of what other people want for you or what life wants for you, right? The spiritual languaging around what the universe wants for me, what life wants for me, what God wants for me, how God designed me. These are all religious ideas, meaning it's an idea and we can expand it beyond the word religious necessarily. And I'm not saying that religion is a bad thing. There's so much good and so much knowledge and wisdom in all of the religions. And I believe they're all keys to truth. But anything that leads you to believe, right? Whether it's explicitly leading you to believe this or whether your psyche interprets it this way, anything that leads you to believe that you are not free, that you are bound by some law, the law of karma, the way that I define it, and please take or leave anything I say, this is just how I see life right now. Karma is just your habitual thoughts and feelings. And your habitual thoughts and feelings stem from the belief of what you are. So if I believe I'm some limited, finite being that lives and dies, or that puts out vibration and that gets every single, that is returned to me, right? Every single vibration I put out, if that's what you believe, that's what you will get. If that's what you expect, that's what you will get, because you are so free and powerful that your beliefs, your desire of what you want to experience yourself as, and your beliefs create your reality. Your expectations create your reality. So if I believe that things are predetermined, then that might feel comfortable, but it only really feels comfortable because we are so religiously conditioned, or conditioned by the idea that we have an outer authority, that we are not yet in the swing of or used to the sensation of making choices. What if you could live wherever you want? What if you flowed thought toward what you wanted to experience instead of simply observing the environment around you, regurgitating your subconscious distractions all day, right? What if you could actually focus your mind and flow it towards things that you wanted to experience? What if you could do that? And you could do that if you chose to do that. But if you want the experience that surrender means giving into what is, right? Which is a really prevalent teaching. But I always say, well, you're creating what is. So you're giving into what you're creating in the first place, right? If I am creating suffering in my mind, then I learn how to surrender into my suffering. You're still kind of on a wheel, right? Unless you have discovered how to stop creating suffering for yourself. Your idea of surrender is always going to be giving into what you create, giving into the suffering that you create in the first place. So I want to start with a fundamental belief. You are completely free. You are completely free. Nothing is predetermined unless you believe that. Even some of the most, revered sages in our lives, even sages of non-duality, say everything is predetermined. Every encounter with every individual is predetermined. Well, if your level of consciousness is that you believe that, well, then you will experience that. You'll experience everyone you meet as a memory of someone you met in a past life, right? You will literally create that because you expect it. But I am challenging you to really look within, feel within, and ask yourself deeply, is that really true? Is it really true that everything is predetermined? Is there some truth to the fact that I just don't like yet, or I am not used to the feeling of making choices? A lot of people stay in relationships. A lot of people stay in so many situations because, whether they know it or not, this religious or limiting idea that everything is predetermined is kind of governing them. So they're just staying there and making the best of it, where the truth is that if you flowed thought toward what you wanted to experience, then it would happen, and then all of these things that you have to heal, like unworthiness and being limited, would just dissolve and disappear, because you're showing yourself that you are the creator. And many Eastern, and I'm not putting a blanket over any Eastern teaching, or all Eastern teachings, but many teachings leave out the part of the truth that we are co-creators, that we are creators, right? We're not just here to surrender to what is, right? We're not, surrender from my point of view doesn't mean just completely, giving up resistance, which it does include that. Of course, you don't want to resist what is, but you also want to become aware of how you're creating what is, right? Are you creating the same situations over and over and over? If you are, it's because your subconscious is distracting you all day, so your vibration can never leave the bandwidth of energy that your subconscious is looping in. So what does that mean? If you don't know how to feel your emotions and liberate the energy, the emotional energy will rise into dialogue. It will distract you, right? You'll defend yourself all day in your mind. You'll explain yourself, you'll justify yourself all day in your mind, and there you go on that wheel of karma. You're just not exiting the loop that you're in, but you can, right? Why worry about your money problems when you can think about what you would love to do with the money that you desire, without justifying it, without explaining it? What would you love? What kind of home would you love to live in? Flow thought towards that. Don't flow thought towards how much you dislike where you're at, right? So that surrender piece, and the way that it's traditionally taught in many ways, is like, yeah, okay, accept what is, right? Find the beauty where you are. But also, right, instead of just observing your environment from a conditioned, lackful point of view and regurgitating those thoughts all day, exit the loop and think about what you want. And thinking about what you want is not a shallow or a lesser part of your self as spirit, because spirit is not only love. Spirit is intelligent love that creates universes, right? And anything that you create out of self-love, right, really anything that you create is always a benefit to the entire universe, because we can't help but teach the rest of the fragments of ourselves in reality with the way we show up in the world, whether we're showing up unconsciously or consciously. But so much of what you believe you need to heal will wither away into nothingness if you show yourself that you can focus. If you can focus on the feeling of unlimited, you will break free of the felt reality of being limited. Right? If you can show yourself, if you have bodily conditions, if you have symptoms, that you can expand your awareness beyond that pain, right? If you can relax into the pain and you can feel the energy around you in your space, if you can release your energy from what you are obsessively worrying about, you are literally programming yourself to believe that you are unlimited, because you're not limited by what you can observe in your body, in your environment, in your bank account, in your whatever. So this idea that things are predetermined is just, from my point of view, is just not true. And I believe that the Mayans, when they were talking about the end of time, they were talking about the end of the known, the end of the predictable future, maybe even the end of karma, in the sense that as a collective we could realize that we are unlimited, that no matter what you've done and what you've said in your life, if you deeply love and forgive yourself now, because the world, the universe is a hologram, if I deeply love and accept myself and feel whole, I cannot help but see the wholeness in others and the perfection of others. If I contemplate perfection and wholeness, I cannot help but see it in the world, right? Anyone that I have had a thought and feeling about, right, whether it was a hateful or a murderous thought or a hateful thought, right? If I deeply love and accept myself now, if I feel whole now, I cannot help but think of the other in love, because the universe is a hologram and we do to others what we do to ourselves. So read yourself like a book, right? Are you judging people all day? Are you judging people all day? Are you comparing yourself to people all day? If you're judging people all day, that's what you do to yourself. What you are projecting into the world is what you do to yourself. So if you belittle others, stop belittling yourself. How can one belittle themselves? By rejecting their humanity, their emotions, right? Judge themselves for being human. That's another way that the religious conditioning has really woven its way into our mind field, is that we reject our humanity. We reject our emotions. You know, the word human means hue is light and man is manifestation of light. We are amazingly glorious beings that have the creative strength and love to be able to submerge ourselves in all these range of vibrations, from the lowest to the highest, right? We're courageous, we're powerful. And when we reject our feeling nature, right, our ability to experience through feeling, when we reject our grief, when we reject our rage, we are rejecting a part of us that is intelligent, right? When we allow ourselves to grieve, we then value our relationships more. When we lose someone and we allow ourselves to grieve, we value our life more. When we allow ourselves to feel anger, we allow ourselves to create healthy boundaries. We allow ourselves to move out of repression. So that's another huge way. And what I've seen in my work with people and their subconscious is that people, no matter how much shadow work they've done, or how much plant medicine they've done, or how much, whatever amount of like inner work, there's still this pretty hardcore grip on this concept that being human is evil, being human is disgusting, and that having emotions is evil, right? So this idea that we are guilty sinners, it manifests as our complete unwillingness to feel, right? It's either angelic or nothing. It's either from here up or nothing. If I have hate, if I have judgment, if I have, any human emotion or thought, then I am evil, right? And I know this from experience, where I remember I used to have an unkind thought about myself or someone else, and I would like start A Course in Miracles all over again, right? It was like asceticism. And I'm not saying that's all bad, because I have a lot of integrity and I care so much about how I show up in the world. So that's the higher octave of that. But this idea that our humanity is evil, that our body is evil, that sexuality is evil, I mean, how can that show up in your life? Do you punish yourself? Do you get afraid of your emotions? Are you afraid of anger? Are you terrified when other people show passion or anger? So many people are. So many people are living from here up, right? Either in their head or even, people can live in quite high spiritual energies without really transmuting those survival emotions. But unless you transmute the survival emotions and let yourself sink into them, you cannot embody God consciousness as a human. You cannot. Because even though everything is God, right? Everything is God. Our survival emotions, every vibration is God in some form, right? To live a realized life of being God, which is unlimited love and intelligence, we have to allow that intelligence into our subconscious and allow it to burn up these survival emotions. And that looks like sinking deeply into them, allowing them to burn you, allowing yourself to reveal to yourself how guilty you really feel, how powerless you really feel. When you allow yourself to see how you really truly feel, you have the opportunity to change the program. But if you're always hiding from yourself, right, if you refuse to make contact with that original energy, right, and some people can intellectually know, oh, I know I feel powerless, I know I feel guilty, I know I have a pattern of confusion. But unless you go into the energy of it, unless you really feel what you're stuck in a somatic way, you will not be able to change it. So instead of believing humanity is evil, emotions are evil, my sexual nature is evil, allow all those things to exist, right, unconditionally. And some of those emotions will physiologically, they will feel uncomfortable. They will make your vision blurry. They'll make your heart beat very fast. They'll make you sweat. Might feel like panic, but know that it will pass, because it's a ball of energy, right? It's a ball of energy that's actually trying to make its way out of your system. So religion really does have a grip on us, whatever you want to call it. Authority, the idea that we are limited, the idea that we are not free, the idea that things are predetermined, the idea that the universe knows what's best for me. You are the universe. There's nothing outside of you. Some people say, well, where did the impulse come from, right? By the time you desire something, that means it's already on its way to you. Well, it came from you. It just came from a deeper part of you than most of us are usually aware of. But there's nothing outside of you. Where could anything come from? Where could any impulse, any desire come from but from you, right? The will of God is a religious idea. Karma is a religious idea. Determinism is a religious idea. You are free. If you resonate with what I'm saying and you believe in some way that you are just meant to be where you are, right? When I say that sentence, like, oh, I'm just meant to be, I feel like a fog come over me. It's like a literal fog. I think in like the Bible, some religious text, there's this image of the fog. The fog came over their eyes. It's like, yeah, it's a belief. It's a belief that if you see through, you will enter a universe of unlimited choices, which at first is scary because we're so used to this idea of a mother and father God, or a mom and a dad, right? So whether you think of it as like God is outside of us, or we're in a child's perspective that we want mommy or daddy to decide something for us, we're stuck in a victim or child or powerless perspective if we are expecting something outside of us to give us answers. And I'm not saying don't accept help from the external world, right? But eventually, I believe that it's the journey of all of us to come to a place where nothing outside of you is ever going to really be able to guide you because you are the creator of your own universe. And we are all, every creator here is creating their own universe. So how do you know if you are in a fog or in a limiting belief? Well, the easiest way to clear things that you might not be aware of are to practice the frequency of the opposite, right? Practice the frequency of clarity. Close your eyes and play a song that resonates with the frequency of clarity. Clarity, unlimitedness. How do you know that you're believing a thought that's limited unless you know what being unlimited feels like? Well, every thought has a frequency. So if you close your eyes and you play a song and you say the word unlimited, you might even see the fractal pattern of that frequency. Then you become the frequency, overlay the frequency onto you and emanate it and kind of sparkle the whole universe with that frequency. So close your eyes with a song. Pick a frequency, whether it's absolute clarity, unlimitedness, a higher love, whatever it is that you want to embody, so that you can clear away what doesn't resonate with that frequency. Say the word in your mind and then almost push yourself into the frequency and radiate the frequency as if you're radiating the whole universe as that frequency. And what you will find is that in your life, it will become obvious to you when you are thinking an unlimited thought, because it will feel like a weight or a restriction. The more you practice feeling weightless, the more the weight that you're carrying in your mind will become evident to you. So this is my PSA for today. You are free. Religious conditioning, or whatever you want to call it, the idea that there's an external authority, right? The idea that things are predetermined, right? And that's, in your personality, that might look like reading another book, or and I'm not saying reading a book is a bad thing, or that seeking is a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, at some point, like, searching for information doesn't feel, it feels like a weight because there's a wellspring of guidance and information from deeper parts of your own being that will fulfill you in ways that nothing in the outer world really can. I will speak more on how to raise the vibration of the body so that you can embody this unlimited reality. The body is the subconscious mind. So in order to live in a body mind that can house this unlimited reality, you have to alchemize the weight of your mind, right? The limiting beliefs, the beliefs in mortality, in outer authority, the beliefs that you aren't even worthy. Why haven't you thought about what you really want? Because you don't feel you're worthy of receiving it, but even deeper than that, because you don't know that you're a creator. Why would you just loop on what you observe in your environment, right? If you're living in a house or a neighborhood that you don't like, why are you just thinking of that all day? Boom, 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 instead of where do I want to go? And realizing that thought and that the emotional embrace of the thought will literally create that reality. But then the problem is that we look back to our 3D reality and we think that this is real, and we loop again. So the challenge, right, in embodying this is to discipline yourself to the extent that you are no longer constantly distracted by your subconscious, by your environment, by your body sensations. And I'll speak much more about this. And I am releasing a book on this that I will tell you as soon as it's published. So have a good day.